Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Hawkman issue number 29. How do you make a good comic book? How do you know if a comic book was good? You stick the ending. Final issue. So, did this stick the ending? Was this a good comic? Let's get to that. So, we've got Final Justice, the conclusion, in the end. Pay attention to that end design because it happens again at the end of the comic book, where it belongs. Robert Venditti is the writer, Fernando Pasarin on pencils, inks by Eau Claire Albert, and Jeremy Cox does the colors. The letters are done by Rob Lay, and Michael Janin does the cover. There's a variant cover by Sebastian Fuimara, and Gardner Fox, of course, created Hawkman. I'm going to miss being able to say that over and over and over again, once a month, you know? So we get Set has just stabbed Hawkman, or did he? And we get, that was a little bit weird. I'm going to admit, that was a little bit weird. But all things being what they are, Hawkwoman running forward, I'm going to kill you, Haster. Yeah, that's my girl. That's my girl, Shiara, you know? And this was, like, the idea is, you think about this, here's these characters who theoretically can do so much because of nth metal and all the stuff that they've said over time. Savage Hawkman got a little bit too much with it, in my opinion. But for the most part, all the different things that different writers and artists have done with nth metal over the history of this character, the ridiculously long history of this character. 80 years. 80 years this month. 80 years of Hawkman. Yeah. The idea that this man's, all right, Gardner Fox, put out this character that so many people have reinterpreted over and over and over again, more than any other character in the history of comic books. No other character has been more interpreted than this character. And bang, you still get the basis, the heart of who these characters are, regardless of what their powers are or what they've done in the past and whatever. You still get the heart of these characters. I admit to still being a little bit bothered that Carter was afraid, that he was actually openly fearful. I think that it would have felt better if he had talked about how I used anger to cover up a lot of my fear over time. Then I feel that this would have gone better. At the same time, who can I blame for that? I'm not here to put blame on much of anybody, but I will say DC has gone out of their way to pretty much screw up everything that they've come across since forever. You know what I'm saying? Or at least for the past several years. They've just been screwing up left and right with a big old smile on their face saying, isn't it great? As there's like several natural disasters, like a tornado riding on the back of Godzilla, just going through the freaking city. It's like, dude, isn't what great? You know, like, are you a human wrecking bar? Like, what is this? So here we have so much that unfortunately wasn't explained. I don't know when the current creative team knew or found out that the book was being canceled. I have no idea when they heard the news, but whenever they figured it out, they had to find a way to close out the story that they were telling and then go into the final ending of the book. So that's an awful lot to have to do, pretty much spur of the moment, right? It's going to bother me for a long time that I may never know why Hawkman's mace acted the way that it did, returning to his hand and, you know, basically being Mjolnir, right? Without the lightning. Well, then again, we didn't get to the part where he can suddenly shoot lightning. Also, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know where any of that came from. There was never a chance to really explain any of that, was there? Because the book was ended way prematurely. I'm saying, bro, there's so much wasted opportunity by just ending this incredible story. whatever. I can lament about that all I want. What I am going to bring up, because I'm not here to really spoil the book, but I am going to have to point out at the end, Hawkman and Hawkwoman, they grow old together. We actually have an ending to the book where they don't die. They just get old. They get so old that if you needed an extra reason to buy this comic book and to kind of kick DC in the nuts by giving them money for a book that doesn't have Batman or Superman on the front, I think this is a good way to do it. Just getting this book. Especially there's a bunch of characters at the end that may be Legionnaires. I imagine they are. But it's the next generation. And maybe it's the pre-Legionnaires. I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting that a whole bunch of new characters at the end and boom, you're there. Anyway, I'm probably going to get a little bit choked up talking about this because my grandparents just died within the past couple of years. You know, I literally expected, these two loved each other so damn much. I expected that after my grandmother died, that my grandfather would have died within days, if not hours, the way that he loved her, you know? He was 16 and she was 15 when they got married. And, man, like, they loved each other so much. They had to elope because he was Catholic, she was Protestant. Neither of the churches would marry them, you know? And they had to go from Jersey, Pennsylvania area all the way down to the Virginias just to be able to get married. That's the closest place they could go to find a church that would actually marry them because they loved each other. They wanted to actually be in whole union with each other. And, yeah, it's wild, man, these guys. So, tell me how I'm reading this. Tell me how I'm looking at Carter writing the story. And I'm not going to get too much into this because, again, I don't want to get too much into spoilers. But remember, we haven't seen Carter really narrate the story or write since much earlier on in the book, like the beginning of the series and a couple times spuriously throughout. But we get to see that again. We also get to see the gray hair. That was a hell of a way to bring that back. That was freaking amazing. This got me thinking about my grandparents, who I genuinely loved. Maybe they were hawks. This was a really good way to end this series. This was a damn good way to end this series. You wanna have a good series, dude. You could have screw up after screw up, which this book didn't have. There wasn't screw up after screw up. A couple things that maybe I didn't like as much as I could have. Whatever. But you stick an ending. That's the way that's the way that you get a memorable series. Damn good job. Guys, like the video, watch an ad, and buy the book. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. I need a tissue. Class dismissed.